Good morning, and welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton. Those of you here in the sanctuary and those who have opted to watch us online. Those who are here in person this morning, please ensure your devices are turned to worship mode. My name is Pat Dickinson. My pronouns are she, her, and I will be your service leader this morning. We thank the many people who are involved in providing a service each Sunday morning. Our speakers, Reverend Danny and Joanne Tunnicliffe, music ministers, C.A. Klassen and Rachel Derry, tech team, Brian Carey and Josh McIntyre, ushers, Jean Jacobs and Agnes Cunningham, worship assistants, Sue and Ian Johnstone. As well, we thank all those who greeted us, who provide coffee, those who provide programming for children and youth, and all those invisible people that work to make sure we have a service every Sunday morning. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are in your journey of faith or search for meaning, today you are one of us, and you are welcome in this congregation. Our mission at First Unitarian is to nurture one another, serve the community, and inspire action that heals the world. We begin our services each Sunday by acknowledging that we are located on the traditional territories of the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Mississaugas on the land covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. This agreement was between the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe to share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. I was struck recently while reading Indigenous author Robin Wall Kimmerer's new book, The Serviceberry, Abundance and Reciprocity in the Natural World, of the similarity between her imaginations of a gift economy in this book and the basic message of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. The Wampum Agreement was based on the notion that resources should be shared, each territory should be respected, and nations will not war with each other for the domination of these resources. In Kimmerer's words, in a gift economy, wealth is understood as having enough to share, and the practice for dealing with abundance is to give it away. In fact, status is determined not by how much one accumulates, but by how much one gives away. I'll just repeat that. Status is determined not by how much one accumulates, but by how much one gives away. The currency in a gift economy is relationship, which is expressed as gratitude, as interdependence, and the ongoing cycles of reciprocity. A gift economy nurtures the community bonds that enhance mutual well-being. The economic unit is we rather than I, as all flourishing is mutual. It seems there is much in the modern world that we would be wise to consider in both the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement and in the imagining of Kimmerer's gift economy. And Joanne tells me that the serviceberry that Kimmerer uses as a symbol of abundance is in fact in abundance in our church gardens. We will now listen to our prelude.
Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, I say, it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. But here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say, it's alright. Little darling, the smiles returning to the faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. And here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Sun, 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 here it comes. 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 Little darling, I feel that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. But here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. It's alright.
Our chalice is a reminder of the light and hope of our faith. We light it each time we come together to remind us of the sacredness of our time together. I would ask Reverend Danny to light our chalices as we join in our unison chalice lighting words. May this light be of hope and love.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me this Sunday. It is so good to be with you all. I am Reverend Danny Weber. My pronouns are they and them, and this morning we continue our journey through the practice of imagination as we explore what it might take to bring your imagination to life. Imagine. We have arrived. Imagine the lush river cannot swallow us or drown out the voices of our hearts. Imagine we have come arising out of the hard shells of loneliness. Imagine we are listening to the sighs, to the aches of our history, to the silences pinched beneath skins, and we are learning how to speak our own names. Imagine we are free. Come, let us imagine together. And I am going to invite Joanne Tunnicliffe to come forward for our children's story this morning.
Imagination. Today's story is going to be on behalf of Ron Joyce and his 3 wonderful grandchildren. And they will know why this is part of them when they hear one of the stars in the story. This is an original story. Johnny was a very inquisitive, imaginary young 8-year-old. He was the only child of 2 wonderful parents, and they lived on a large wheat farm in Saskatchewan. Now, that in itself presented a few problems. First of all, Johnny had to walk such a long way to school, and it was uphill all the way there and back. But he entertained himself along the way by telling himself stories, singing songs, and imagining all the wonderful games he was going to play with his friends when he got there, and perhaps what kind of subjects were going to be covered in school. But you know, as an 8-year-old, you can only do this for so long. And when he got back from school, there was always the farm chores. He had to help his mom and dad out because that was his other job, was to help his mom and dad out. So one day he thought, with all this imagination he had, he could easily imagine a friend. A lot of 8-year-old children do that. But he did not imagine a person. He imagined a St. Bernard dog. And he called him Imaginary Pogo. And Pogo went everywhere with Johnny, off to school, listening to all his songs and stories and imagining what would happen at school. And he loved Pogo. And you know what he liked best about Pogo? He was a great listener. Most of us love to have a friend that's a great listener. And so, back and forth, back and forth. Now, his parents noticed that he talked a lot during chores. And he seemed to not necessarily be talking to himself, but, oh well, he was an 8-year-old boy. What could they do about it, as long as he was happy? And then one day, as he got closer to his 9th birthday, Johnny approached his parents and said, "I am going to catch a great big fish for supper for my 9th birthday." Well, he's been along the river all his life, and he knew how to swim. So they thought they better warn him. It was springtime, and the water was up a bit. It was pretty cold, and it was faster than normal. But Johnny, if you're very careful, we'll let you go. So Johnny got out his very best strong fishing rod and the lures he thought would be perfect for a very big fish. And down he went to the fishing hole. And who did he take with him? Oh, come on, Imaginary Pogo. Much better. And he talked to Pogo all the way down about what he was going to catch and how soon it was going to happen. And he was so happy. He got the rod ready. He put the big lure on, and he cast out as far as he could. Plop. Well, no sooner was the line in the water than there was a massive tug, a huge tug. Wow, thought Johnny, I think I've got my fish already. And then what did the fish do? He jumped way up out of the water so Johnny could see it definitely was a huge fish. And when it went down, it pulled Johnny so hard that his foot got stuck underneath a root of a tree beside the river. "Pogo, Pogo," he called. "I'm stuck. Pogo, help me, Pogo. Pogo, where are you?" And then the fish tugged as hard as it could, and the root broke. And Johnny went way up in the air because the fish was tugging him. And before he landed in the water, he yelled out once more, "Pogo, help me, where are you, Pogo?" Splash. Now, Johnny's parents had been working outside that day, and they thought, that's Johnny yelling, that's not like him, we better run. So down they went, and they got to the fishing hole, and it was empty. Where could he be? Well, it wasn't long before they heard him calling, "Pogo, Pogo, where are you, Pogo?" And they followed the voice, and they found him sitting on the ground in a lovely patch of sun, clutching a huge fish. And he was shivering because, of course, the water was really cold. But they couldn't understand what he was talking about. "Pogo, where are you, Pogo? I need you, Pogo. Are you lost?" And then they thought perhaps he had hit his head somewhere. He sounded pretty delirious to them. They'd never heard him talk like that. So they took him back to his warm, cozy room. bundled him up in big blankets, and brought him some hot chicken soup. But despite all that, Johnny was still saying, "Pogo, Pogo, where are you, Pogo? I can't find you, Pogo." And then he looked at his worried parents and he realized, they don't know who Pogo is. Oh dear, maybe it's time that I told them about Pogo. And he did. And Johnny's parents felt kind of sorry for him, because then they realized perhaps he wasn't spending enough time with friends, and he had to make up this imaginary friend. But they knew what to do. So the next day, in the morning, 2 days before his 9th birthday, they drove off to another village, and they found exactly what Johnny would love, and they got it. But here's the hard part. They had to keep it a secret. Johnny was far too inquisitive, you know. And they did. So on the morning of his 9th birthday, he woke up and saw his parents standing in the door with huge smiles on their face. And at the bottom of his bed was a crate, a carrier crate. And from inside the carrier crate came whining and scruffling. And finally, a little rap, rap. Johnny's eyes widened. It couldn't be. It just couldn't be. And he reached down and unlatched the carrier. And out jumped a St. Bernard puppy. And Johnny went, "Oh, Pogo, you found me. Pogo, you're real. Oh, Pogo, I'm so glad you found me." And Pogo jumped up his legs onto his chest and licked him. He's really happy we found Pogo. And licked him all over his face. And Johnny was ecstatically happy. And he looked at his parents, and they had the biggest grins he'd ever seen. And they said, "Now look, Johnny, I would strongly advise you take the dog outside right away, have a playtime, and we'll fix you a special birthday breakfast. Pancakes, back bacon, maple syrup, and of course blueberries." So out they went. Johnny didn't have to be asked, not more than once, that dog needed to go outside. And they played and played and played and played and played and played. And when breakfast was done, Johnny's parents went out to find him. And do you know what they saw? They saw a little puppy and a happy boy. Why are you waving at me, Brian? Okay. All right, let's go back. They were face to face, lying down in a bit of sun on the lawn, and they had gone to sleep. And Johnny's arm was tightly wrapped around little Pogo. And the parents sighed with happiness, and they said, "Wow, we found Johnny a good friend. We found Johnny a best friend forever."
One of the ways that we get to experience community and imagination is by having multi-generational spaces around the building, places where we can wave at little babies. We gather together across the generations, and sometimes we gather in our generational groups. Next week, we will be having, for the first time in a while, a family chapel again. And so at 10:30, families are invited to join Jenny in Fellowship Hall for a full hour together. And children are welcome to join the CYRE team in Fellowship Hall now for some programming, or they can stay for our candle lighting ritual, which will happen after our hymn. But first, let's sing together. Number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
Together
We enter a time in our service for imagining and meditation. There will be a few moments of silence, followed by music. During the music, you are welcome to come forward and light a candle of joy or sorrow or gratitude. Before, we will have words from Reverend Richard Gilbert. I invite you to settle into your seats, close your eyes if that feels safe in your body, and take a few deep breaths. Life is always unfinished business, by Reverend Richard Gilbert. In the midst of the whirling day, in the hectic rush to be doing, in the frantic pace of life, pause here for a moment. Catch your breath. Relax your body. Loosen your grip on life. Consider that our lives are always unfinished business. Imagine that the picture of our being is never complete. Allow your life to be a work in progress. Do not hurry to mold the masterpiece. Do not rush to finish the picture. Do not be impatient to complete the drawing. From beckoning birth to dawning death, we are in process, and always there is more to be done. Do not let the incompleteness weigh on your spirit. Do not despair that imperfection marks your everyday. Do not fear that we are still in the making. Let us instead be grateful that the world is still to be created. Let us give thanks that we can be more than we are. Let us celebrate the power of the incomplete, for life is always unfinished business. During these moments in silence, as we light candles together, it is easy to recognize that we are all on a journey together through life. If we look up, we can see it. Everyone standing before us in line, witnessing those around you in their sorrow, in their joy, in their gratitude. Community care is when we allow ourselves to be witnessed by those around us, whether that is in silence or in spoken word. We offer and receive community care when we attend to those and these sacred moments together. This morning, I am sharing a joy with all of you that the hiring team have selected a candidate for our new support services manager. I have so much gratitude to Angela Morgan, Sue Stewart-Green, Lila Miklos, and Layla Kamani for helping make this happen. Hopefully we can share more details soon, but for now, know that we had excellent candidates and 3 very successful interviews. We're really happy about the next steps in this position. We also have a joy submitted by Joanne Tunnicliffe. As we left the gardens on Thursday, a spice bush swallowtail butterfly fed on our early pollinator plants. Because we have several spice bushes around the property, expect to see green caterpillars soon. I try to go out at least once or twice for lunch hours over the weeks, and it is astounding to see how much the garden changes from week to week. I really invite you to go outside and see it. We are an interdependent community. What touches the life of one person affects us all. We come together each Sunday in these ways to witness this and to hold sacred these intertwinings. Coming together, we see the connecting threads of the web of life. Holding silence together, we tend the bonds that bind us. To have your journey shared aloud, please fill out the form on our webpage or in the binder at the side of the sanctuary. May we continue to hold space for this caring community and to share with courage and vulnerability.
Our offering is a reminder of the spirit of generosity and, yes, I hope abundance that is at the heart of our religious community. In sharing our financial resources, we ensure the continued existence of our church. We'll now receive our offering while we listen to our music minister.
What are we to do? What should we do today? What should we do with our lives? How do we live our lives with sufficient perspective, moment to moment, so that we can enter into the moments of life with equanimity and peace? Truth or wisdom. There is compassion, love. There is equanimity and peace. And there is a passionate life, a life fully lived. Those are the 4 criteria. Those are where you're going. And out of all of that comes joy when you're living that way. So truth, wisdom, and harmony with the universe around you, in the Tao, in the way of things. So that your life feels from moment to moment, yeah, I'm in the right place at this moment. I mean, it's weird, but this is just what I should be doing right now. So there is truth or wisdom, there is compassion, love, there is equanimity and peace, and there is a passionate life, a life fully lived. How to realize those things is what yoga and spiritual practices are all about.
Your gifts in support of our ministries to one another and to each other and to our community are appreciated. Thank you.
Recently, I was watching someone online talk about this really profound question that she had been asked and how it had taken her days to come up with her own answer. It was an Instagram reel from Pony Ponytail, also known as Stephanie Kong, and she poses the question to her viewers. Imagine for a moment, however fancifully, the fight for collective liberation has been won. We did it. We are free now. Here's the question. What are you doing? She goes on to say, I had to sit with it. Well, I would be helping people. People have been helped. I would be teaching people. People have been taught. What are you doing now? I want you to keep that question in your head. I'm not sure that I've ever actually talked about the words collective liberation with you all before, but I'm sure that you can think about this concept and see how it is relevant in our world today. Collective liberation means material, spiritual, and relational freedom of all life form systems of domination, of all life from systems of domination. Collective liberation is our faith tradition. It is the part of our theology that focuses on the final destiny of humanity and of each individual human. Collective liberation is what Unitarian Universalism hopes for, wants for, aims for, a world and a life where no human is left behind, where no individual is damned to hell. That's the universalist part of our faith. We highlight this every week when we talk about the interdependent web that we are all a part of, what binds us to one another. Collective liberation is the reason why we do justice work. Sure, Many of us began doing justice work because we recognized our own privileges and realized that we were able to give back to a hurting and perhaps harmful world. But our faith, our beliefs, call us to recognize that the divine within each individual and the interdependence of our whole world also call us to recognize that none of us are free until all of us are free. And collective liberation is more than just using terms like tolerance, representation, or inclusion. It's actually a completely different paradigm. In Fleshed, a blog and website for spiritual nourishment for collective liberators, articulates collective liberation this way. It's a claim that salvation resides in the places where queer and transgender liberation, Black and brown and indigenous and people of color liberation, Palestinian liberation, economic liberation, liberation of the earth and all life forms, feminism, womanism, disability justice, abolition, and harm reduction all coalesce. It is global. Its wisdom is born on the edges, the fringes, the liminal spaces. Robin Wall Kimmerer, who Pat spoke about during our land acknowledgement this morning, the author of Braiding Sweetgrass, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teaching of Plants, and her most recent book, The Serviceberry, Abundance and Reciprocity in the Natural World, speaks of this idea of collective liberation in a different way. And Pat already spoke about this, but we're going to repeat it a third time because it's that good. In a gift economy, wealth is understood as having enough to share, and the practice for dealing with abundance is to give it away. The currency in a gift economy is relationship, which is expressed as gratitude, an interdependence, and the ongoing cycles of reciprocity. A gift economy nurtures the community bonds that enhance mutual well-being. The economic unit is we rather than I, as all flourishing is mutual. Okay, so back to my Instagram video and that profound question. Imagine for a moment, however fancifully, that the fight for collective liberation has been won. We did it. We are free now. Here's the question. What are you doing now? If the economic unit is we rather than I, and we are all mutually flourishing, what would you be doing? I would be visiting my friends more. I would be reading more. I would be studying physics and chemistry. I would learn how to fish. I would be creating, learning how to throw ceramic pots, maybe painting with oils. But you know what else I would be doing? I would be going out for coffee with people to talk about their spiritual lives and help them wrestle with their spiritual questions. I would be sitting in circles with other folks, struggling to figure out how to practice imagination. I would be wrestling with whatever our next theological question is. And I would continue to be knitting, and I would continue to garden, and I would continue to cook dinner most nights in my household because I love feeding people. These are all things that I love to do and that I plan to continue to do every day. One of the resources that I was introduced to within our Soul Matters journey groups this month was Walter Brueggemann. He is an ordained United Church of Christ minister and a professor of theology, though he is currently retired and he continues to write. Excuse me. In his book, The Prophetic Imagination, which was originally published in 1978, he says, "Our culture is competent to implement almost anything and to imagine almost nothing. The same royal consciousness that makes it possible to implement anything and everything is the one that shrinks imagination, because imagination is danger. Thus, every totalitarian regime is frightened of the artist. It is the vocation of the prophet to keep alive the ministry of imagination, to keep on conjuring and proposing futures alternative to the single one the king wants to urge as the only thinkable one. Through their messages of hope and restoration, the prophets announced the possibility of a new beginning, a new community, and a new way of being. They envisioned a time when swords would be turned to plowshares, when justice would roll down like waters, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. In doing so, they provided the people with an alternative narrative, one that challenged the inevitability of the status quo and offered a vision of a different future. A few weeks ago, I shared with you all the genre of solar punk, the storytelling social movement that works towards actualizing a sustainable future, interconnected with nature and community. Perhaps these are the prophetic imaginings of our future on earth. Or the gift economy. Another quote from Kimmerer's book speaks about public libraries in this way. Quote, "To me, public libraries embody the civic scale practice of a gift economy and the notion of common property. Libraries are models of gift economies providing free access not only to books, but also to music and tools and seeds and so many other things. We don't each have to own everything. The books at the library belong to everyone. Take the books, enjoy them. Bring them back so someone else can enjoy them. With literary abundance for all you need is a library card, which is a kind of agreement to respect and care and take care of the common good." So what are the ways in which we bring about this kind of imagination? How do we create the world of collective liberation? These types of agreements to respect and care for the common good. Because most of the time, I don't think we spend our time preparing for that type of future. Most of the time, I know that I am going about my day doing my best to figure out what it is that I need and doing my best to get those needs met. I need housing, and I need food, and I need safety, and my time is spent fulfilling those needs by going about my life in a way that allows me to navigate the systems that are put into place in this society. And this society, the way that our world has been imagined through the possibilities that are expressed by capitalism, means that we each individually are struggling to figure out our own needs and meet them as best as we can. The prophetic imagination presents a powerful challenge to the dominant narrative of our society. It invites us to see beyond the royal consciousness of consumerism, of competition and control, and to embrace the alternative vision of the prophetic imagination. The vision grounded in the covenantal values of justice, compassion, and solidarity. This vision offers a different way of being in the world, one that is more just, compassionate, and hopeful. And yet, I think it is also important to be explicit that while a more just, compassionate world is possible, the road that gets us there may include truths that are unpleasant, truths that can be painful, that will disrupt the systems, and therefore disrupt the lives of those who benefit from those systems. Also, a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned the book, The Ministry for the Future, by Kim Stanley Robinson. It was part of that science fiction genre that I was learning and leaning more towards these days. After that service, I had a few different people tell me that they love that book. One person bought a copy for her grandson after being reminded of it. A book about how the current system might be changed. The Ministry for the Future is a subsidiary body established under the Paris Agreements in 2025. I spoke about the main character, Mary Murphy, the head of the ministry, and how she goes about trying to create actual global change with regards to the climate crises. The concept brought forth in that book are based on real systems that we currently use within our global structure. And there is a lot of possibility and a lot of imagination that is already being done for us within that book. If you are a policy wonk, I suggest you read that book. But one of the things that I did not mention about this book is that there is actually a very strong undercurrent theme, which is violence. And violence on both sides of the problem. The violence that we are already aware of, the violence of extraction and the harm it causes people and ecosystems. The opening chapter is an excruciating description of the death of millions of people during a heat wave in India. It's vivid and it's terrifying. But the other side of that coin, there's also violence that is used to bring about and even speed up the social and environmental changes. Chapters also describe non-state groups who bring down passenger jets by the dozens in order to trigger the collapse of a carbon-intensive airline industry, which ends up ultimately being replaced by blimps, a sustainable alternative to traditional airplanes. And as someone who will actually be on a plane tomorrow morning, I have to say that I'm not condoning or suggesting either form of violence. But I do think that we need to shift. I do think that we need to be practicing, to be imagining a different future, and with our actions, bringing that future to life. Back to that blog post from Infleshed, the author states, though collective liberation is ultimately good for all, its birth will come with costs. Its birth depends on individuals paying attention to what must be done differently in each life. Its pathways are not individualistic, but they are individualized, particular, specific, based on relationships to what must be let go of, reached for, given up, handed over, taken up, fought for, fought against, celebrated, mourned, and more. To learn and unlearn, to create and connect, to labor and love in ways that will enable this salvation, this collective liberation where everyone thrives with access to resources, with agency and no fear of violence, with the right to rest and play and create, free from exploitation. Sometimes creating the imagination, creating the possibility of our imaginations isn't as easy as buying a 9-year-old a puppy. I think back to that video from Pony Ponytail that I spoke about at the beginning. Imagine for a moment, however fancifully, the fight for collective liberation has been won. We did it. We are free now. Here's the question: what are you doing now? People have been helped. People have been taught. What are you doing now? One of the secrets that we are still only just uncovering, that as humans, as a collective, we are constantly trying to learn and remember and hold on to, is that we need to be doing those things right now. We need to be creating and visiting and singing and learning physics and loving life right now in a way that will feed our aliveness in order to get closer to collective liberation. This labor requires our spiritual nourishment, nutrients of faith that feed our humanity. We must regularly savor in the kingdom, not kingdom, but kindom, that we are striving for. We cannot afford to rush past too quickly. We must sit with the nourishment as it arrives. This is a long game. This is slow work. And just as our meditation words told us, life is always unfinished business. There is an urgent present, and yet we must dig deeper to tend beauty and to build. One ordinary practice at a time, we must build new patterns for life together. Please join me now in singing our closing hymn, number 121, We Will Build a Land. And if you're following along in the gray hymnal, we'll only be singing verses 1 and 2.
We'll build a land where we bind up the broken. We'll build a land where the captives go free, where the oil of gladness dissolves all mourning. Oh, we'll build a promise
I extinguish our chalice with these words from Laura Lynn Bellamy. If here you have found freedom, take it with you into the world. If you have found comfort, go and share it with others. If you have dreamed dreams, help one another that they may come true. If you have known love, give some back to a bruised and hurting world. Amen. And blessed be. And CA will now offer us our postlude.
Who will fetch the water? Will it be your great-granddaughter, my darling? Who will fetch the water? Who will be its course? From its source, how will it find us, my darling? What'll be the course? And who will call the rain? Feel it falling to our skin from a welling deep within. Who will call the rain? And who will strike the drum when a thundering heartbeat needs it? When the feet gotta pray it down, who'll strike the ground? Oh, 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 who will speak in truth, and where will they walk and show us how, my darling? Who'll sow the truth, and where from will it bloom into the story as we shape it for each other? Oh, beloved's what we choose. This breath we've been given, this life we are tending, this garden we are seeding for the ones yet to come. Who will fetch the water? Will it be your great-granddaughter, my darling? Who'll fetch the water? We will fetch the water, and we will be the course, and we will call the rain. We will call the rain. We will fetch the water, and we will be the course, and we will call the rain. We will call the rain. We will fetch the water.